In the early 1990s, as South Africa was navigating the hopeful dawn of democracy, a monstrous shadow was quietly spreading across the townships. Women were vanishing, their bodies later discovered in fields and abandoned buildings. The violence was brutal, the pattern chillingly precise. Fear gripped the nation when it became clear a serial killer was on the loose. The trail of death traced a grim alphabetical path. Atteridgeville, Boksburg, Cleveland, earning the unknown predator the name the ABC Killer. At the center of this storm was a man who wore the mask of an activist and youth mentor. His name was Moses Sithole. Moses Sithole was born on November 17, 1964, in Vosloorus, a township in what was then the Transvaal province, now part of Gauteng. His childhood was marked by profound loss and trauma. At the age of 5, Sithole's father passed away. With several children to care for and limited means, his mother abandoned Moses and his siblings, placing them in an orphanage. It was in this institution, meant to shelter vulnerable children, that Sithole reportedly experienced physical and emotional abuse. He would later claim the orphanage mistreated him, a factor that some believe planted the seeds of bitterness and resentment toward society, particularly women. Psychologists and criminologists analyzing Sithole's background have drawn connections between early childhood abandonment, institutional abuse, and deep-seated rage, though such trauma never excuses what he would go on to do. As a teenager, Sithole was withdrawn, seemingly quiet, and moved between various low-paying jobs. His outward demeanor gave no indication of the violent urges that lay beneath the surface. Sithole's first documented criminal behavior began with sexual assaults in the 1980s. By 1989, he was arrested and convicted for rape, having assaulted several women. During the trial, his cold demeanor stood out. He served a 6-year sentence, during which prison officials noted his composed, even polite behavior. But that calm exterior masked a boiling rage, one that intensified with each passing year behind bars. Upon his release in the early 1990s, Sithole was filled with bitterness. He would later claim that the rape accusation had ruined his life, despite overwhelming evidence of his guilt. With a thin veneer of rehabilitation, he re-entered society and began plotting revenge. After his release, Sithole launched a horrific campaign of rape and murder that would eventually claim the lives of at least 38 women, although the real number could be higher. The true start of his killing spree is believed to be 1994, but it was only in 1995 that police began connecting the dots. His modus operandi was chillingly manipulative. Sithole founded a fake charity called Youth Against Human Abuse, claiming to help young women find jobs or support. He would place advertisements or approach women directly, offering them employment opportunities or interviews. Trusting his seemingly kind and professional demeanor, victims followed him, only to be led to secluded fields or abandoned buildings. East of Johannesburg, Cleveland, a suburb within Johannesburg, this geographical pattern gave rise to the chilling nickname, the ABC Killer. As the body count grew, fear spread like wildfire. Women were terrified to walk alone. Communities demanded answers. The media swarmed the townships. Even President Nelson Mandela visited one of the mass grave sites, visibly shaken, urging law enforcement to act swiftly. In a move that stunned investigators, Sithole reached out to Tamsin de Beer, a journalist. In October 1995, he claimed to know who the killer was. He described the crimes in disturbing detail, often shifting between third and first person. De Beer, alarmed by his statements, alerted the police, who launched a nationwide manhunt. It wasn't long before authorities zeroed in on Sithole. On November 5, 1995, police cornered him in Johannesburg. In a desperate attempt to escape, Sithole attacked one officer with a hatchet, prompting police to shoot him in the leg and stomach. He was arrested and taken into custody. During his medical evaluation, doctors discovered that Sithole was HIV positive, a fact he had hidden from his victims, further compounding the cruelty of his acts. Moses Sithole's trial began in October 1996 and ran for over a year, concluding in December 1997. He faced 38 counts of murder, 40 of rape, and 6 of robbery. Despite videotaped confessions and overwhelming evidence, Sithole pleaded not guilty, often claiming coercion or misinterpretation. The trial was harrowing. Survivors and families of victims testified to the horror Sithole had inflicted. Prosecutors played chilling recordings of Sithole describing his crimes, often in a calm, emotionless tone. He showed little remorse throughout. On December 5, 1997, Judge David Carstens delivered one of the harshest sentences in South African history: 2,410 years in prison, with no possibility of parole for at least 930 years. Judge Carstens said, "You decided the fate of your victims. You showed them no mercy." The sentence must reflect society's repulsion. Moses Sithole is currently incarcerated at Manguang Correctional Center, a maximum security prison in Bloemfontein. He is kept in isolation for his own safety and receives antiretroviral treatment for his HIV condition. Few details of his prison life have emerged, but reports suggest he remains largely unemotional and withdrawn. In 2000, he was the subject of a documentary series that delved into the mind of serial killers, but no further interviews or public statements have followed. The victims' families, many of whom never fully recovered, continue to live with the echoes of his terror. The story of Moses Sithole is not merely a tale of one man's descent into evil. It is a reflection of how deep societal scars, poverty, trauma, institutional failure can create the conditions for monsters to emerge. But Sithole made a choice, again and again, to deceive, destroy, and devastate. He used charm as a weapon, wore kindness as a mask, and committed atrocities under the pretense of charity. South Africa, still in its post-apartheid infancy, was forced to confront a new kind of horror, one that had nothing to do with politics or race, but with the darkest corners of the human psyche. Today, his name is barely spoken aloud, as if to keep the evil at bay. But the legacy of his crimes, the pain, the fear, the shattered lives, endures. And in the corridors of Manguang prison, the man once called the ABC killer sits alone, a silent reminder that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones who hide behind a smile. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. If you found this story powerful or eye-opening, please don't forget to drop a love emoji in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe to our channel, July Media. We're on a mission to grow this community, and with your help, we're pushing to hit 2,000 views on this video and 2,000 subscribers. Every single like, comment, and subscription brings us closer. May God bless you abundantly for your support. Stay tuned for more powerful, real-life stories and deep investigations, only here on July Media.